Dirty cop continuing to defund the police. This dirty cop framed over 200 damn people. Dirty cop, all right? Everybody's now getting exonerated because of this dirty cop. Let's put up a picture of this dirty cop who framed over 200 people. Let's keep his picture up. His name is Ronald Watts, okay? They knew what he was doing. So I'm going to highlight him and the culture that allowed him to succeed. More than 200 black and brown people were set up by this dirty Chicago cop known to prowl the city's south side. Now their records are being completely wiped clean. Ronald Watts, a former Chicago police sergeant, a well-known cop who developed a reputation of threatening people, harassing people, and framing people on Chicago's predominantly black and brown south side. Now he operated for many years like this, right? Now, all of that action that I just described, all of those activities are against the law. All of those activities are a violation of your oath of office in addition to being statutorily illegal, all right? Tyrone Fenton, who was among the hundreds affected. Let's put up a picture of Mr. Tyrone here, okay? Fenton, 48, is among 43 others to have their petitions to vacate drug convictions approved on April 22nd. Mr. Fenton fell victim to Officer Watts' unethical policing back in January of 2006 when he and two others recently left a funeral. That's when Officer Watts and his gang of officers approached them to shake them down for drugs. Fenton describes how Watts would set people up after bringing them to the station. He said, and I quote, "The next thing you know, they come out of the back room with 3 big Ziploc bags, what I know now is heroin, and would put it on the table and I'd ask, what's this for? And what's that? And they didn't say anything. I kept saying, what's this? I hope you all aren't going to put this on us. And they said, yeah, this is y'all, and you are about to go to jail for it. Fenton said of his experience, Fenton was charged with heroin possession and spent 2 years in the Illinois State Prison. He never did it. He was set up. Okay, let's put the picture of the dirty cop up again, okay? And I want to explain something here. Now we're highlighting this dirty cop, but you just heard what one of the people who was his victim said. There was a group of cops that did this, not just him. Now he's taking the fall for it, and rightfully, he should take the fall. He simply should not be the only one. But here's what corrupt cultures do. A corrupt culture will give you a person like him in order to protect the corruption. They will throw him under the bus in order to protect the corrupt industry that they coexist in. Thankfully for Fenton, he was among hundreds who had their drug convictions vacated because of Officer Watts' shady antics finally caught up with him after an investigation. Watts and Officer Muhammad pleaded guilty to federal charges in 2013 after they were recorded taking $5,000 from an FBI informant and admitted to routinely extorting money from residents and drug dealers. Watts was sentenced to 22 months in prison. Muhammad received 18 months. That's it. That's what setting up over 200 black and brown people gets you. That's what your violation of oath of office gets you. Now, let me tell you what justice would have been. Justice would have been to collectively give every single one of those SOBs the time they gave everybody else. Now that's justice in my book. These individuals held positions of public trust funded by taxpayers. Those taxpayers were literally funding agents of their own oppression. And we know he was doing it since 2006. Had a reputation for doing it. It was the worst kept secret in Chicago. And when they finally catch up with him, they give him literally a slap on the wrist. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because he got the goods on the other cops too. That's why. Because he did not operate in a silo, he operated in a team. And some of those team members made sure that he did not get the time he was supposed to. Let's bring up the DA who is now exonerating these convictions. Chicago's state attorney, Kim Foxx, says since she took office in 2006, she's cooperated with petitioners in vacating a total of 2,012 convictions involving Watts because of his corruption. Once again, Watts is one expression of a corrupt culture. He is taking the fall, rightfully so, but that entire department is rotten to the damn core. David, thoughts here?
My thoughts are that this brings up two issues with police and police culture. First, incentives. You've talked a lot. I know this happened in Chicago, but you've talked a lot about in Atlanta. The incentive for police officers to just get as many arrests as possible without any concern about whether somebody's guilty. And so that leads to a perverse incentive for police officers to cut corners. But the other thing that too many police departments tend to reward.
Looks like we have a technical issue. We'll get David back. It happens. It's a live show. All right, we'll get David back on the line. But I definitely understand the sentiment of David, and he's right, because these cultures are created not to seek justice, but to seek arrest. And the arrest is how you're judged. The arrest becomes the way that you get promoted, which means that's how you get more money. So they create a system that's really adversarial to justice, is pro-arrest rather than pro-remedy. And that pro-arrest methodology tends to create a culture just like you see in Chicago and other jurisdictions. Okay, all right, we got David back yet?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Dr. Richey, I mean, there's the incentive, of course, for police officers to rack up a lot of convictions, but there's also, I mean, there's so much praise for the police officers who are the wild guys, the people who get more arrests than anybody else. And more often than not, I think if you dig down, if police departments would actually look, well, wait a second, why is it that this police officer is getting more arrests and more convictions? A lot of times you will find because they are cutting corners, they are denying people their constitutional rights. And we need to change the incentive of praising officers who get a lot of arrests and instead say, wait a second, are they doing it above board?
And let me say this about the profession of policing in contrast to other professions. If you're a medical doctor, you get praised in the medical profession for being a really great medical doctor. Procedural, you've come to the table with something new, you've created a new technique, you've enhanced an old technique, it benefits the people that you serve. That's great, that's how it works. If you're a psychologist, same thing. If you figured out a way to remedy drug and alcohol addiction in a nuanced and creative way that others may not have done before, you get praised in that profession because you're a psychologist. You're dealing with elements of the mind. However, in policing, it's quite different. You are a law enforcement agent, a law enforcement officer. But if you actually enforce the law, if you actually enforce the law, you are put on an island. You are not praised, you are not given kudos, you are strange, you are abnormal, and you will end up being excommunicated from the industry.